Okay, we'll start with this. Well, the IBF's super featherweight champion, Hamadouche, who hails from out of France, made a very big announcement via Twitter that reads, "Good news. Just signed contracts. The Korean Hyun-Mi Choi, WBA world champion, accepted the challenge. I will go to Seoul, Korea, face her on her land, with my title at stake. The winner will have 2 belts. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody better get ready for a World War III. That's what this is going to be. And this is a fight, a unification match that we've discussed here on the channel in passing for, I don't know, I think it's been about 2 years. Both fighters seemed very receptive to the match, though for one reason or another, it simply didn't happen. But early next year, on February the 22nd, Hamadouche will be traveling to South Korea to try to take what Hyun-Mi Choi's got. And let me tell you something. If you're not already acquainted with Hamadouche,
he's bad motherfucker.
You don't know what you're missing. Try and understand that Hamadouche has stopped the likes of an Anaí Esta Sanchez. That's the same Anaí Esta Sanchez that went the distance with Chantel Cameron and Jessica McCaskill.
Big puncher.
Hamadouche has stopped the very game Vivian Obanoff. That's the same Vivian Obanoff that just went the distance with a very big puncher in Terry Harper. The same Vivian Obanoff who stopped Natasha Jonas. Yet against Hamadouche, that wasn't the case. Put simply, both Vivian Obanoff and Anaí Esta Sanchez are a testament to just how destructive Maiva's punching power is. Because these fighters, that they've gone the distance with other strong punchers in different weight classes, higher weight classes sometimes, you know? But against Maiva, they could not withstand the onslaught. You can watch the film on Hamadouche and say that her approach is easy enough to understand. She's a come-forward, aggressive puncher. She's a pressure fighter. You can say that her approach is easy enough to understand, but once you're in there with her, you'll find that it's not that easy to work around. It's a sustained attack that systematically breaks down the girl opposite the ring of her. For Hyun-Mi Choi, it's going to be a tall order. It's going to be a tall ask because Hamadouche is going to be the biggest puncher that Hyun-Mi Choi has ever faced. And as it stands in the super featherweight division, there is no puncher bigger than Hamadouche. She's a threat to anyone and everyone that wants a piece of what she's got. I'll tell you, I want to give credit where the credit is due. To both the fighters, to both the champions, for so deciding to unify as opposed to operating independently of each other. My hat goes off to them. But specifically to Hyun-Mi Choi for so deciding to take on a fighter that most other girls, they don't want to look in her direction. They don't want nothing to do with no goddamn Hamadouche. And that's because of how aggressive, how destructive she is. But Hyun-Mi Choi has so decided to do the dance. And on February 22nd, it's going down in South Korea.
South Korea!
You know, elitism can be a very misunderstood concept in the sport of boxing, especially amongst the fans, who relegate elitism to merely technique, implementation, you know, a fighter's approach, their base style, and their form. And they don't realize that physicality in and of itself is a form of elitism. The kind of physicality that Hamadouche brings to the table. Oh, she's not your polished, hit, not get hit kind of fighter, slipping and sliding all over the place. That's not her brand of elitism. Hamadouche's brand of elitism is a hell of a gas tank, a hell of a lot of punching power, and a whole lot of aggression. And what makes it elitism is the level at which she competes with it. The championship level that has consistently seen her defending that IBF title and coming out on top, stopping opponents that would otherwise go the distance with other formidable fighters who also pack a punch, though they can't seem to last against Maiva. That is her elitism. That is what she brings to the table. The question then becomes, if this is what Hyun-Mi Choi is to face in February of 2020, how does she mean to win the fight? Well, Hyun-Mi Choi's strengths are her implementation. You know, she's got good defense, good counter-punching. She's a good boxer.
Got some tools.
That is her strong suit. You know, using the angles to slip and hook, slip and counter.
That's what she does.
Hyun-Mi Choi's got a good set of legs, and she knows it. That's why she uses them to navigate that ring and use it to her advantage. You could argue that Hyun-Mi Choi is the more versatile, more well-rounded fighter out of these two girls. You could argue that in terms of skill sets, implementation, that would have to go to Hyun-Mi Choi, but in the realm of being a physical specimen, having certain God-given abilities, certain physical attributes that make you a very difficult fighter to deal with, well, that easily goes to Maeva Hamadouche. So when you have these two kinds of fighters squaring off against each other, it creates a situation to where I think, Hyun-Mi Choi is going to try to win this fight behind the boxing, see if she can sail to a points decision against Maeva Hamadouche, whose implementation is very crude, though very hard to work around. And that's because Maeva's not looking to get you out of there with a single shot. It's a sustained attack, sustained pressure that gradually wears down the other girl round after round until she finally slows down and starts taking punishment. I don't think that Hyun-Mi Choi has ever had to work that hard against someone the likes of a Maeva Hamadouche. There's not much chance of Hyun-Mi Choi getting Maeva's respect, because Hyun-Mi Choi, God bless her, she's a good boxer, but she's not the biggest puncher. So you go in there trying to fight this fight toe-to-toe in the pocket, sitting on your punches, and you'd be giving Maeva exactly what she wants. In all likelihood, Hyun-Mi Choi's looking to fight this fight on the fly. But if she's fighting this fight on the fly, it is coming at the sacrifice of her power. If you're not sitting on your punches, there's not much on them, and there's not going to be much to keep Maeva off you. Stop her from coming after you.
It's a long night.
I feel like this is a fight that might have a similar aesthetic, emphasis on similar. I feel like this is a fight that might have a similar aesthetic to the Maeva Hamadouche versus Anaí Esther Sanchez. Anaí Esther Sanchez, who also likes to navigate the ring, use it to her advantage, try to walk opponents into punches, use counter-punching, to set up traps. It's that kind of a situation. Hyun-Mi Choi and Anaí Esther Sanchez more or less have this kind of an implementation in common. But I don't think that Hyun-Mi Choi is going to have any more success with it than Anaí. Well, I gotta say, Hyun-Mi Choi, the girl's got guts. Because, she's lacking in certain areas that are pivotal to beating the likes of a Maeva Hamadouche. It's not that Maeva's invincible. It's just that, you need certain ingredients. The same way you need certain ingredients to make a fucking lasagna is the same way you need certain ingredients to beat the likes of a Maeva Hamadouche. And I'm not confident that Hyun-Mi Choi's got them. She doesn't have the sharpness in her movements, that good snap in her punches to where she's not the biggest puncher, but she can stun you. She can stun you if she hits you with a shot that you don't see. Hyun-Mi Choi, she's a good boxer, but punches are kind of flat.
Not too quick.
She uses angles, but, her movements, they just aren't the quickest. They aren't the sharpest. The necessary level of reflexes and athleticism, it's not quite there for this particular contest, for this particular outing. And one very necessary ingredient that you need is punching power. You need respectable power. I don't think Hyun-Mi Choi's got it. You don't need to be the biggest puncher, and you don't even need to be a bigger puncher than Maeva is, but you need a respectable shot that'll make her think about things, do some damage, There are these kinds of punches floating around the super featherweight division right now, though, Maeva's she's not about to fight one of them, not right now. She's about to fight Hyun-Mi Choi, and I'm afraid that for all her guts and all her virtues, Hyun-Mi Choi, she might very well lose that WBA title, and it will be Maeva Hamadouche who leaves South Korea a unified champion. But it's an amazing fight, and you have to give the credit where the credit is due to Maeva, who's willing to travel to Hyun-Mi Choi's backyard, and to Hyun-Mi Choi for even having this fucking fight. Because this is a fight I think she might just lose. So on February 22nd, keep your eyes peeled for this. And it is reported that that's the same day that Wilder's supposed to be having that rematch with Fury, so that might actually turn out to be a decent day of boxing. As far as what I think coaxed this decision, you got a lot of up-and-comers that are with big-name promoters, big-name outfits. You got Michaela Mayer down there, right? And Michaela's with Top Rank. That's major outfit right then and there. You got Terry Harper, who's going to be challenging Eva Wallstrom for what is the green belt. Now, the champions that were already there, like Hyun-Mi Choi, like Maeva Hamadouche, they see this, and they see a window of opportunity, that they could square off against one of these up-and-comers that have a major outfit behind them. But they don't want to just fight for any amount of money. Thus, they want to come to the table and get a respectable percentage of the purse. And they may have so decided that, we got these up-and-comers coming over here, right? And if we unify with each other, that would put the winner of our fight in a power position with these prospects. So it might be risky. You might have to make some sacrifices. I might have to make some sacrifices. But It's the best thing for either of us to be doing so that we can secure a respectable purse against the likes of a Terry Harper, against the likes of a Michaela Mayer. You know, that might be the hierarchy of thought, the mindset, and you know what? They're right. If that's what's going on, and that's why it's going on, then yeah, they're right to do it. If Terry Harper could become a champion in her very next fight against Eva Wallstrom, well, that would put Terry on equal footing with either Hyun-Mi Choi or Maeva Hamadouche individually, because neither one of them possess the kind of marquee value that would, put them in a power position. Thus, what they have to do is procure more world titles. For each of those world titles, well, each one of them is something that Terry wants. Each one of them is something that Michaela wants. And the more of them you have, the bigger a purse you can get. But, super featherweight is really picking up. It really is. So, just keep your eyes peeled for this. In February 2020, on the 22nd, World War III is going down. In other news, per a tweet from Steve Kim, according to Freddie Roach, Luis Nery did everything he could to make the weight. Yeah, everything but take some clenbuterol, right? Better still, Luis Nery did everything he could to make the weight, but now he's moving up to 122, and he's going to be, campaigning as a super bantamweight, and he's set to make his very next appearance in whatever the next PBC pay-per-view is. In all likelihood, the next PBC pay-per-view is going to be Wilder's rematch with Tyson Fury. That's set to go down February 22nd, pretty early in the following year. And I think that's going to be the next pay-per-view they have. And Luis Nery, in all likelihood, he might make an appearance there. What do I think about this news? Well, given the recent rumblings that we've been hearing in association with that particular card, that particular pay-per-view, there might actually be a silver lining for Luis Nery. Luis Nery, who, you know what? He was stuck on an island with nobody important to fight. At 118, all the world titles are on opposite sides of the street, and the same is true at 122. You got Emmanuel Navarrete, the WBO champion. He's a top-ranked guy. You have Ray Vargas, the WBC champion. He's a Golden Boy Promotions guy. And then you have the only unified champion at the weight, Daniel Roman, who's in possession of both the IBF and WBA titles. He's a Matchroom Promotions guy, okay? So all the world titles, anywhere from 118 to 122, are on other sides of the street. But given the recent rumblings in association with Wilder versus Fury as a pay-per-view, there have been rumors that there are going to be some other cross-promotional fights on the card as well. Rumblings about Adam Kaunaki versus Kubrat Pulev. You know what? That's a great fight. That's a great fight, and that's a sign that things are going in the right direction, that these are the kinds of things that need to happen, And you think about that, and then you think about what it says in the tweet, that Luis Nery is set to be making an appearance on the very next PBC card. In all likelihood, that card is going to be Wilder versus Fury, too, at the beginning of 2020. So that opens a door for Luis Nery versus Emmanuel Navarrete, who's a top-ranked guy. That's right. If the rumors check out and they mean to stage a top-ranked versus PBC kind of situation, that could be a fight that ends up on the card, and that's a great fight. That's about one of the best fights Luis Nery can get, and it's a credible scalp. You're not running around fighting guys that Naoya Inoue beat already. You're actually taking on a world champion. I think that's the silver lining for Luis Nery. I think that's really his best bet, his only hope to get his hands on a title. The problem with it is the title that Emmanuel Navarrete holds just so happens to be with, from an organization that the PBC doesn't recognize. Did we forget that the PBC is disavowing all knowledge of the WBO? Did we forget? Because, I didn't forget. I didn't forget that they don't want to recognize the WBO as an organization or any of their champions. I didn't forget that. But, that right about now is looking like the most accessible belt for Luis Nery if he makes an appearance at 122 in his very next fight. I wonder how all of that is going to work out. Because, one, if Luis Nery is set to make his super bantamweight debut in his very next fight, well, Emmanuel Navarrete would be a hell of a step up. This ain't like fighting Naoya Inoue's sloppy seconds coming off of knockout losses. Emmanuel Navarrete, this is a big guy for super bantamweight and a big puncher. You want to debut at the weight against the big puncher? Are Luis Nery's people, are they receptive to that kind of an idea? Is that something that they would be on board with?
It's risky.
Just as well, what I just mentioned earlier about the WBO being an organization that the PBC isn't too fond of. You know, Emmanuel Navarrete is a top-ranked guy, though. That's the thing. If you have so extended an olive branch to have a string of cross-promotional fights on that card, well, that could be one of them. But that would force you to recognize the WBO as a legitimate organization and Emmanuel Navarrete as a legitimate champion. We all know that the PBC is trying to move away from that, and Bill Wenger admitted as much. You know, the Fox executive that's in bed with them. They've admitted as much. But, you know, for this situation, for Luis Nery in particular, well, if you don't do that, what are you going to do? What title would you have him fighting for? Because Ray Vargas, we know the PBC loves WBC titles. We know that they got a little thing going on with the green belt. But at the end of the day, Ray Vargas ain't a top-ranked guy. He's a Golden Boy Promotions guy, ain't he?
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Roman, you know, he's over there with Matchroom, but you don't like them either. But let me tell you why I think the fight is a possibility. Why we should entertain it at least. It's because, you know, Wilder's upcoming rematch with Tyson Fury, the people at Fox and the people at the PBC, they've got a lot riding on that. You know, they're hoping to recoup money they've lost on that fight. So they need it to be as big and as bad a card as it possibly can be. And one way for you to really sell it, it's not just the main event, it's the undercard fights as well. Pulev versus Kaunaki is a great fight. That really is a great fight. You know, it's a chance for both guys to really, you know, fight somebody that's got a pulse. And Nery versus Navarrete, the Mexican fans would show up for that fight. That's going to be that would be a barn burner. That would be another World War III kind of fight. If you can get those kinds of fights on the undercard, now you're not just selling Wilder versus Fury again. You got all this other stuff to look forward to, and they need to sell that fight because they've got a lot riding on it. That's their chance to get the money back that they have so frittered away overpaying Deontay Wilder lump sums of money that he can't generate, that he doesn't bring them back. This is their opportunity to get a return on that investment. One way for them to do that is to pull out all the stops to make sure that that particular pay-per-view card, that particular set of fights gets bought. And if you put a fight like Nery versus Navarrete there, yeah, I think you'll get a couple more customers. I might actually be one of them.